Battle against insurgency, banditry, and terrorism and other forms of violence seem checked lately only with a drastic focus on the 2023 general elections. So much so, many people are beginning to fear that governance may suffer and the gains we've made may be reversed. Well, on that note, I welcome you to our program, Violence Free World. And my guest on the program today is a very interesting personality, a personality that have dominated discourse in the last few weeks. Chief Femi Kayode, the former Minister of Aviation. Chief, you're welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
Well, we'll come right back into the conversation, but after this time. My name is Ikpe. Don't go anywhere.
Lack of inclusiveness breeds distrust and ultimately engenders restiveness. Ignoring the youth who constitute the bulk of our population is a sure recipe for disaster. No sane society should consign its youth to the background. Hand in hand with our youth, and we can build a strong, prosperous, and peaceful nation. I am Yahaya Bello, and I believe we can have a violence-free Nigeria.
Well, in the last 1 year or so, you've gone from being a feral critic of Muhammad Buhari, invariably calling out the rampaging Fulani headsmen for their excesses, to now someone that is a pacifist. Now, you're preaching national unity to the extent that you even cite historical trend that buttresses the fact that no particular tribe, no particular religion has a monopoly of violence, that everybody can do anything. It should not just be ascribed to one. How did you achieve this sudden change of heart? What informed it?
Well, first of all, I'm not a pacifist. I'm not a pacifist at all. I'm far from it. I'm somebody that believes very much in using the most extreme forms of violence against those that seek to destabilize the state and that kill people in the name of ethnicity or in the name of religion or anything like that. I've been very clear about that from the beginning, and that will always be my position, that you have to have a strong hand against those that seek to terrorize and kill innocent men and women, regardless of their faith, regardless of their of where they come from. And I think that's the priority, and that's the most important thing to establish, and that's what any government ought to do. People tend to look at my past criticisms from a prism of ethnicity and religion. It's not so. Where I believe the government got it wrong, I said so clearly. Where I believe that they were not hard enough on certain people, I said so. Where I believe that they were not doing the right thing, I said so. And I have no apology for that whatsoever. The most important thing for me is to acknowledge the fact that where they are getting it right, we have to have the presence of mind and the humility to admit that, look, certain things are being done in the right way, and we have to acknowledge that in an attempt to ensure that we have national unity. After all, if we don't have a Nigeria, there won't be any political parties, there won't be any vying for 2023. There won't be anything, because we'll all be dead or we'll all be refugees. So the most important thing, I believe, is not just to criticize for the sake of criticizing, but to acknowledge where the government gets it right and where others get it right, even past adversaries, to encourage them to continue to get it right, and at the same time to ensure that we have national stability, national unity, and we ensure that our country is violence-free. Like, the theme of this program, we have to ensure that we stop killing one another in the name of religion, in the name of ethnicity or whatsoever. Where I believe we need violence is when it comes to dealing with people from outside this country, foreigners who have come to our country, sponsored and encouraged by foreign powers to destabilize us and cause us to fall into a civil war and start killing one another. And we need to be sensitive to that, because I believe that's really what's going on here. And so when you talk about, for example, Fulani herdsmen, and you talk about bandits, and you talk about Boko Haram, you talk about other
terrorists
generally from all over the country, by the way, not just the terrorists in the north. There are also terrorists in the southeast now that are targeting policemen and killing their own people. When you talk about such people, I believe that we should have a firm hand, a very firm hand against such people, and I believe that we need to do something about it. Arm our security agencies, support them to fight such people. What I don't believe in is for us to turn our guns on one another and blame one another.
Okay, Chief, it's not like this is any different from how you felt. Our concern is a sudden change of attitude towards certain players in the industry.
Sure.
I
understand.
How
let me explain that.
Yes.
There's a difference between being a politician and being a statesman. It gets to a point that you've got to appreciate the fact that if you play politics without any apology and you continue to raise the temperature and raise the bar, and you see that you're heading for a cliff edge, the whole country is going to a cliff edge. If you continue to do that, then you must retrace your steps and begin to warn against the excesses of some of our politicians and the reckless behavior in which they indulge in on all sides. Not on one, not on the other, but on all sides. We need to check our rhetoric. We need to ensure that we build bridges and ensure we sustain our unity. Now, it's okay to say that you believe in, for example, self-determination. It's all right. You can have that view. Many people have that view. To a certain extent, I have that view. However, you must not say that you will translate that into violence to effect your purpose. That is something that is unacceptable and something that I would never support. You may say you believe in a united Nigeria, and many have that view. I have that view as well. But what you mustn't say is that being a unitarist or somebody that believes in united Nigeria, that you must kill anybody that doesn't share your view. I believe that we can come together and talk to one another. Over the last 1 year, I've been doing precisely that. Unlike most politicians who have just been scheming for positions of power, either in this government or in the next government to come or whatever, what I've been doing is looking to bridges to ensure national unity. Therefore, I communicated and I spoke and I interacted closely with key players from all political parties.
Yeah, we're going to come right into that.
So that is not a sudden, son.
Yeah.
It's something that built up over a period of time. And during the course of that time, I discovered a lot of things which I didn't know before about key players within the APC, some of the governors, and also the president himself and the efforts they're making. And I was given the privilege to assist in some things. So I think that's where the turn now came. And I believe we can work together.
The biggest move yet seemed to be your recent visits to the President Muhammadu Buhari. And that kind of had made you an issue in a rather too controversial manner. You've been attacked from various quarters. People say that FFK is a sellout. Some say FFK needs a job badly now to maintain his expensive lifestyle. Some say, well, this is in a repeat of a tendency that had been manifested by his father in the past. Some even go on to mention Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president, has said that, where FFK, wherever it pays it better, no matter where you decide, he has no qualms changing.
First of all, let's start with about President Olusegun Obasanjo, who I worked for as one of his ministers for some time, and also his spokesman for a number of years when he was president of this country. I will tell you that he never said anything like that. He never said it. It was a fabricated quote on social media. It was fabricated in 2013 at a time that people wanted me to start attacking Obasanjo. Okay? Because they now came up with this quote. I know the boy that did it. He worked for a particular website magazine. When we made a complaint about it, the boy was removed from his job. 1 year later, just over a year later, the boy unfortunately sadly died in a car accident. I know the boy. And he apologized to me at the time. Total fabrication at the time. And at that time, when it happened in 2013, one of Obasanjo's aides actually came out and said, he never said that. But people are intellectually lazy in this country. They don't bother to cross-check on anything. So they now say, Obasanjo said, Obasanjo. Obasanjo never said anything. If he had said that, definitely would have responded at that time. But it was an attempt to provoke me into responding to OBJ, who I can never do because he's my father, he's my boss, he's somebody that I worked for and somebody that I defended for a number of years. So that's number one. Number two, all the other issues that you mentioned. You say they spoke about my father. These people that are talking about my father, most of them are not even fit to tie his shoelaces. This is a man that moved the motion for Nigeria's independence successfully in 1958. This is a man of integrity, a man of strength, a man of courage that built bridges in this country against the tide at that time. And he fought hard together with people like Chief S.L. Akitola to ensure that the Yorubas got the best deal at the center. Now, you may disagree with him. Many disagreed with him at the time in that vision, but that's precisely what we see manifesting today. And I'm very proud of my father. And for anybody to talk about my father, well, like I said, I don't know who their fathers are, so I tend not to respond to such rubbish. You spoke about other people, saying all sorts of things. Let me just.
And they want a job too. Yeah.
Well, if I wanted a job with this government or any other government, I wouldn't have been attacking them for the last 6 years. If I wanted a job, even from 2008, when the president that I served left office, and Yaradua came in, then Jonathan came, I wouldn't have criticized Yaradua. I wouldn't have criticized Jonathan to the extent that I did. I criticized them all for, the period, all the years that PDP was in power, right up until 2014. I criticized them effectively because I believe part of the job of anybody that is serious in this game is to keep any government in its hands. Even my own government, which prosecuted me, PDP government, prosecuted me for 7 years to the day. You understand? I criticized them at the time. And I wasn't looking for anything from them. If I had been, I wouldn't have criticized Yaradua, I wouldn't have criticized Jonathan, and I wouldn't have criticized Buhari effectively the way I have done. They did a survey not too long ago. I was the number one when it comes to criticizing this government. I did all that out of integrity and decency and out of wanting to ensure the government did the right thing. So anybody that does not, and most people that always lack the courage to do such things because they are desperate to look for something. I'm not looking for anything from anybody, and I never will. And I'll tell you what, okay, I have never lacked anything, unlike most of these people. For 4 generations, we have done very well. I don't talk about my antecedents. I don't talk about my family. I don't talk about my father when it comes to politics. Go and check the record. I talk about what I'm doing, what I have done, and what I am doing, and what I will do. I'm much more comfortable with that. But people can think and say what they want. You spoke about Nisan, for example, the governor of Rivers State, Nisan. He talks about integrity. What integrity does he have? Let me tell you, look at his antecedents. How long has he been in PDP? He came into PDP when? I've been in PDP since 2001, when he was still in the creeks. When did he come into PDP? I was a minister 14 years ago. I stopped being a minister 14 years ago. I worked for the president, a PDP president, for 3 or 4 years in the villa, when the whole world was against us. And I was very proud to serve that government. And we made great achievements under Obasanjo. I served that government proudly. I was in a campaign for Obasanjo in 2003. We did all that. We've been in this game since 2001. And well before that, I might add, we were doing so many things. I was doing so many things for this country. Where was this man? He was still in the creeks at the time. He eventually came out. And what happened when he came out? He was made a minister by Jonathan. When he was made a minister by Jonathan, he managed to crawl around. Eventually got the nomination to be the governor of Rivers State. He came up, became governor. I clapped for him. Governor of a very big and very rich, powerful state. And since that time, what has he done to this PDP that was built up over the years by people far older, far better, far more qualified than him? He came in and he behaved like a tyrant, like a Hitler. And what has he done? Every key player that has left the PDP since that, over the last couple of years, left because of Nisan. They left because of him. Because of his megalomania, because of his lack of restraint, because of his indecency, and his harsh words on anybody that does not agree with him. Jonathan helped him, he betrayed Jonathan. Rotimi Amici helped him, he betrayed Rotimi Amici. Every single person that helped this man, he has betrayed. And now he gets there, and he starts casting aspersions on everyone. The other day, he called another governor, somebody that was suffering from psychiatric problems, simply because the man said he supports and he likes President Buhari and so on and so forth. Go and ask them in PDP what the problem is. He brought in Alimodu Sharif. There was a problem, he fought him. He brought in McAfee. There was a problem, he fought him. He brought in Secondus. There was a problem, he fought him. The reason why he attacked the Yorubas on one particular occasion and insulted the Yoruba people, the PDP Yoruba wing, okay, saying they couldn't win elections and so on and so forth. How can any normal person stay in a party with someone like that? And let me tell you, now, I'm very, when it comes to joining issues with people that have cult-like tendencies and have been cultists in the past and so on and so forth, I don't like doing it because I know that such people, their standards are not mine. He spoke about my father. He spoke about my family. Who the hell is his own father? What is his family? I know nothing about him. He is building bridges in River State. I'm talking about physical bridges and structures. Clap for himself, very good. He has 2 more years as governor. Can he stand as I stood for the last 14, 15 years, criticizing governments, risking his life? How many times has he been locked up? He will soon lose his immunity. Let's see what he can do. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been prosecuted by various governments, I've been locked up by various governments, and I've stood firm for my principles and what I believe in. Because I changed parties, which is something that virtually every key politician has done over the last years, including Atiku and so on and so forth, including Obasanjo, including so many people, including Buhari himself, including Tinubu. Because I choose to do that, he starts questioning my integrity. He doesn't know the meaning of the word integrity, and neither do most of these people that are talking. The most important thing for me is that I do the right thing, I do it at the right time, and I do it in the right way. And I'm talking about Nigeria now. I'm not talking about 2023. I have no interest whatsoever in 2023. This man spoke about Osun State elections. What does he know about the Southwest? What does he know? We went to election in Osun State under PDP in 2007. We won the election. When I was active, we kept winning elections in Osun State. You know very well I hardly practice politics in Osun State. I haven't been doing it for many, many years. So what is he talking about? I am here in Abuja. I am registering for APC in Abuja. We will have an election in this FCT soon, and you will see the difference that I will make, because I will campaign for morning, day and night against PDP, against Wike, not just at the local level, but also at the zonal level and also the national level. And it's at that point that I will expose Wike for what and who he really is. He's a tyrant, and he's somebody that has destroyed the PDP, and he's the reason why no less than 3 governors, number of senators, former legislators, and many more are still going to leave the PDP. I'll end with this one on Wike. He is advising Jonathan not to leave, not to go to APC and to stay in PDP. He doesn't know what has been going on behind the scenes. He knows nothing. He only hears his own words. But let me tell you, if people like Jonathan were to ever leave PDP, if, I didn't say they would because that's Jonathan's choice, it would be because of people like him. Simply because, what respect did he show Jonathan when Jonathan lost the election in 2015? What caused the loss of PDP in 2019 when they went to the field against the APC and Atiku lost? Was it not the same Wike we're talking about? Complete tyrant. So he is the last person that anybody should take seriously over any issue. I'm not in his cabinet, I'm not from his state, I'm not from his zone, I have nothing to do with him. He should stay in his lane and he should back off. I am not the kind of person you will insult and you'll be left scot-free. I can take it from most people, but not from somebody like that has such baggage. And when he continues to do this, I will respond to him forcefully every point in time, any day, anytime. He may be a sitting governor now. I'm not. I haven't been in public office for 15 or more years, but I'm still firing. And no defection from any party has created the kind of stir that mine has created over the last 2-3 weeks. That should tell him and those that think like him something. If I didn't matter, if I was of no value, why on earth is it creating such a thing? What is paining them so much? Am I his wife? Should I stay with? If anything, he's my wife. If anything, he should not be paid if I was of no value whatsoever. I've done more for the PDP in terms of credibility. I've done more for the PDP in the past in terms of commitment and loyalty that he can ever do. I sought to build that house, but he has destroyed it, and many more will leave because of him.
Were you friends with Nyesom Wike?
Nyesom and me friends?
Yes.
Where would we be friends? What do we have in common? We're parallel lines. He doesn't belong to the level I come from. If not for politics, where would I have met someone like that? The last time we had a one-on-one was in 2016. That was a number of years back, 2016. That's the only time he and I have ever sat together, alone. Which type of friends? I'm not his friend. I never said we were friends. I said I was friends with the governor of Cross River State. Certainly not River State. That's what I said. Then he now said I've never been his friend. I have absolute contempt for the way he has behaved over the last few years. I kept quiet because we have a mutual friend from the Southwest who is a former governor, I won't mention his name, who kept urging me to please take it easy with this man and say nothing because they're friends. That's why I spared him all this time. And because I don't like pulling the house that I'm in down. I was in PDP at that time. I'm not there anymore. He and I can never be friends. I never visited his state. The only time I went there was in 2016. And after that, I went there in 2019 for the PDP convention, where his candidate lost, and he's been crying ever since. And he wants to control the party to ensure that his candidate emerges, or that he emerges as presidential candidate. Well, we're waiting for him. Let's see what will happen. I will end on Wike by saying, on Nyesom by saying this. I call him Nyesom. I will end by saying this when it comes to him. Umahi.
Dave Umai.
Yes, the governor of Ebonyi State.
Yes.
The governor of Zamfara State. The governor of Cross River State. All of them had issues within the PDP touching and concerning this man in varying degrees. Okay, and many others had the same issue. Okay, everybody has a problem with Wike. No governor in PDP likes Wike. He is the only one that likes himself, and he's a bully, and he bullies other governors in that party as if they're children. He talks down to them. They won't tell you this openly. In fact, they'll come out to defend him, possibly. I don't know, and I don't care. That's their party. That's what this man does. Imagine a man like that having power at the center. Nobody will be safe. He talks about other people's past as if he knows anything himself. What does he know? He knows people's testimonies. He talks about, there was a time I saw him mocking and insulting traditional rulers. We don't do that where I come from. I don't know what type of background he comes from. Insulting a traditional ruler openly in front of television cameras and so on and so forth. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter what he does in Rivers. He may be the greatest hero for Rivers State. That is between him and the Rivers people. But when he comes to the national stage and starts behaving like this, certainly we will join issues. And you'll see more of this in the coming months and years.
Okay, Chief, we're going to come back and talk about your relationship with Muhammad Buhari, the way you see him now, as well as many other stalwarts that when we return from this break. Right back.
Thank you.
All right, this is Violence Free World. We'll be right back after this time out. Welcome back. I'm still here with Chief Femi Fani Kayode, and it's been a very interesting one. Well, Chief, now let's go back to this issue of your relationship with Muhammad Buhari. Now that you see him differently, would you be willing to work with him to move Nigeria forward? That's not just Muhammad Buhari now. What about Issa Pantami, Minister of Communication, that you're reported to have vilified and quote you started in the past, antagonized? Now, your acquaintances, it seems more or less like your friends now. What's going on? What's this sudden back and forth?
Well, let me first of all start by answering you in this way. Every person that's been on the national scene, and I've been on the national scene in my own right for almost 30 years now. Okay, I've been writing, I've been commentating, I've been saying all sorts. I've fought for people's rights, and I've been a politician for almost 30 years. Never run for elective office, but I will. Now, in the course of that time, you've had differences with so many different people. Differences of opinion. Sometimes you speak harshly, sometimes you don't speak harshly. And then at other times, later perhaps you change your position on that person based on what you have discovered about them. But most importantly, on their own willingness to accommodate your views and work with you. Okay? And that's the key to this. When it comes to the issue of President Muhammadu Buhari, it was never anything personal. We had differences, or rather I had differences with him on a number of issues before 2015, during the 2015 election, and between that time and quite up until quite recently. A number of policy issues, policy differences, and the perception that I had was he was fueling certain things which I believe were inimical to the unity of my country, Nigeria. I have no other country. And therefore, I stood my ground and I spoke truth to power, courageously, unlike most people. Okay? When it became clear to me that it wasn't quite like that, it was a far more complicated issue. And two things happened, because this is a very profound question you've asked me. Give me a little time to answer it. Two things will happen. A number of things happen, but I'll focus on two. The first thing that happened, which impressed me immensely, was the fact that many of the APC governors that I started interacting with were very accommodating to me. They opened their doors, we spoke from the heart to one another. I told them my views, my challenges in terms of what's going on in the country, why I oppose the government and so on and so forth. And they came across with a different perspective. And instead of vilifying and closing doors, he said, look, let's talk. Let's find a way in which we can accommodate one another and perhaps even work together. That's number one. That couldn't have happened without President Buhari giving the go-ahead. That's where it all started. And I thought that was a pretty smart move on his part. And I continued to was smart on my part as well. And that's where all this started. Now, two major issues took place, which really made me now change my mind about where I would stand. The first one was this. We had a situation whereby this country almost came to a civil war, would have had a civil war, or the beginning of a civil war, a few months ago, 6 months ago or thereabouts. A lot of people don't know about this. And a lot of people don't appreciate it because they don't know the facts. Well, let me share some of those facts with you right now. And I stand to be corrected. I'm saying this on national television. Okay. I got a call in the middle of the night from the governor of Kogi State. By that time, we had been interacting. And he asked me to join him, that we had a bit of a situation and he wanted me to assist. And I gladly went there.
Well, I've been speaking with Chief Femi Kayode, former Minister of Aviation and now a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress. Same time next week promises more if you endeavor to be here. Until then, please remember to remain on the road to a violence-free Nigeria. My name is Ikpe. Thank you for watching. God bless.
No more to violence.